Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. For today's class, I'm going to brief you about mobile design principles. So for today's, we will learn about the concept of mobility, and then we discuss about the native versus web-based user interface. Next, we will look into mobile user interface and design pattern. Look into the element of mobile user interface design and the ubiquity principles. So the concept of mobility. There are three concepts of mobility that you need to remember each time when you are developing a mobile application. That is the mobilizing application, the carry principles, and the components of a mobile application. So the concept of mobility is not limited to the hardware and communication only, but it must extend to the software implementation and user experience. So what meant by this quote from Barbara Blatt is that you need to keep in mind that the mobility is not only limited to the phone, okay, the size of the phone, but when you are developing a mobile device application, you must extend that thought into the software. So the software itself, or the application itself that you are design, must have the very concept of mobility. Okay, the very core concept of mobility designed into the software. So how do you design software to be mobile? So you have to look back into the very first chapter that we've learned. That is the mobile user characteristic and the mobile device characteristic. So those two principles must be adhered. So in mobilizing application, most of the novice developer and designer have been exposed with the end user application designed for desktop computer and the web, which means that most of them will assume that mobile application is just the same as the web application. So the experience of developing a mobile application, which is a subset of web application, would be the same as how you design a web application. So this is a mistake because developing a mobile application is a totally different experience than when you are developing a web application. So those who are developing a mobile application, assuming that the experience of developing a mobile application is the same as web application, would make the mistake of miniaturizing instead of mobilizing. So miniaturizing, what is miniaturizing? So miniaturizing is is a concept that refers to the shrinking of web user interface to the mobile screen size without taking account of mobile device characteristic. So you just shrink instead of you take advantage of a mobile device screen size, you would shrink. So you would shrink the user interface. The shrinking means that you reduce the size, merely reducing the size, without factoring or without taking advantage of mobile device features. So in this case, miniaturizing would introduce the weaknesses that are present in the web application and combine it with the weaknesses that are present with the mobile devices. So basically the miniaturizing process would introduce weaknesses that already present in the web application, and it would also combine with the weaknesses that present in the mobile application. Furthermore, it would make it harder for the user to use the mobile application. So this is also a quote from Barbara Blatt Miniaturizing treats the mobile environment and technology as a subset of the desktop environment, while mobilizing, on the other hand, precisely target the mobile user needs, making the best possible use of technology. Okay, from this code, you understand that you should mobilize instead of miniaturizing. And then, when you are developing a mobile application, you need to distinguish it between web application. Okay, you need to differentiate it between web application. You have to ensure that when you are developing for mobile application, miniaturizing would introduce great weaknesses to the mobile device, makes it harder for the user to use your mobile application. So this is an example of mobilizing and miniaturization. It take a moment to appreciate the differences. Right? Here are the mobilizing. Here is the miniaturization. So miniaturization is just you take a website or web application and then you reduce it in size. Or you design it by reducing in size. While mobilizing, you take account into the mobile devices itself, and then redesign it to follow the mobile user characteristic and mobile device characteristic principle that we have learned back way in the chapter 1. So you look here at the differences. Okay, here the trick type are designed to accommodate the finger. Okay, the person finger. Dia pakai jari. So, person finger. Easily to tap. Okay, just by looking at the trick type, you can tap one way or round trip. Okay, this is in differences with miniaturization where you have to use two tap. Okay, two click or two tap. You have to tap one to select and then tap another one to actually choose either round trip or one way. Here you can see both of the option. Okay, and then you can have to tap either way. Okay, this is also the same. You can only have to tap Alostar or Kuala Lumpur, and then you can switch. Okay, you can switch the position just by clicking one button. Okay, this one is much more harder. Right, this is also the calendar. Okay, by clicking here, you can choose the calendar. And then clicking here, also you can choose the calendar. But this one, you have to select it by multiple tap. 1 tap, 2 tap, 3 tap, 4 tap. Okay, 4 tap. Okay, this one, you save 2 tap. Okay, you only have to click 2. And then this one, the currency. You can choose the currency, whether you want Malaysian ringgit or US dollar. And then for this one, you use iconography. Okay, iconography or graphical representation. Whether you want the guest to be an adult, a child, or a baby. Okay, this is also the same, but this one, okay, if you look here, you have to click it 2 or 3 times in order to select the number of the guests. But this one, you only have to tap. Okay, tap, tap, and tap. And if you want to delete, you have to long tap. Okay, use the principle of long tapping. Okay, long tapping. You double tap or long tap to delete. Or if you want to expose the delete button, you only have to click over here. And then you press search. So the search button is also present inside the web application. Okay, mobile web application. Click search. Okay, to search for the ticket price. So button is a fixed at the bottom, easily accessible by the mobile user. This is according to the principles, okay, of mobile device, where you can actually click the button at the bottom, at the top, or at the corner. Okay, at the corner. Alright, this is called the Fitts law. Okay, this is called the Fitts law. So the Fitts law stated that the user are easier to click the button if the button would fill out the width. Okay, button dia lebar, fill out the width. Okay, this is what we call as Fitts law. And then with size large enough for the user to click, or are placed at the top or at the corner like this. So if you realize, okay, or if you look at your own phone, most of the mobile application would adhere or would follow Fitts law, which is stated that the application button is always located at the top or bottom of the corner. Okay, of the corner, top of the screen, end of the screen, and then at the corner. Okay, or at the end. Okay, at the end, at the very end. So you would rarely find the button of the mobile application at the center of the screen. Kalau center screen dia tak ada button. Kebanyakan yang mobile phone begitulah sebab dia ikut Fitts law. Okay, next is also example of mobile application. Which screen tends to be easier to use for a mobile user? The left side or the right side? Okay, mobilize or miniaturize. So if you look at the button, you will see that it mostly easier for the mobilize application to be used, because this one you only have to tap or have to slide. It's selecting premium low flags, premium flags or low fee. Okay, although this is the same, this one is easier to use because it is larger. And then this one you only have to tap. Okay, and then selecting the price is also easier because you have larger target. This one is smaller target to tap. Right, this one also easier to choose. Okay, this is also example of miniaturization versus mobilization. So in miniaturization, you only minimize the website. Okay, you minimize the website. Without fit, although the text fit within the mobile application screen, but this one in mobilize, the screen would fit better. Okay, the screen would fit better. Okay, easier to read. If fitting in the side of the screen does not mean that it is easier to read. You must actually mobilize it to ensure that the text would be readable too. So this is one what we call it miniaturized, sebab dalam desktop application or web application, this one can be read. Okay, this one can be read without any problem. Okay, this is also example of mobilization and miniaturization. So if you already use Bootstrap, okay, Bootstrap application, or have learned about Bootstrap, so this mobilized application versus miniaturized application, both of these uses Bootstrap. But the example on the left side have uses mobilization principles, which make the menu easier to access. Okay, it uses Fitts law. Fitts law to ensure that the button is easier to be clicked instead on the right side. So if you want to look at the live example of mobilization versus miniaturization, you can go to this website. And then try to access the page miniaturization and mobilization. And then can you describe the differences? Okay, repeat step 1 with the desktop computer browser and describe the differences between miniaturize and mobilize among your group discussion. And then describe the differences between miniaturize HTML and mobilize HTML. So describe also the qualities that make the mobilization better than miniaturization, because this might be asked during the test or final examination, and then it also may be asked during the assignment. So mobilization have the advantage of taking account of mobile platform features that are not present in the web or desktop application, such as multi-touch and touch gesture, one-handed operation features, sociability features which enable person to share an item to its social circle, location awareness and context awareness. So if you have learned in the previous topic, location awareness means that the user is able to look into its location. Okay, take a look of its location, and then the server is also be able to detect the user location without having to ask the user for their addresses or their location. And then provide the access to mobile device hardware sensor. So mobile application should take advantage of these features. Okay, touchscreen, alright, touchscreen, one-handed features, sociability features, location awareness such as GPS, and then automatic detection of the address, and then the access to the mobile device hardware sensor. Okay, there are many hardware sensor inside the mobile application, right? Such as the camera, sound, okay, microphone, and then accelerometer. And then next, inside accelerometer, we have gyroscope, gravity sensor, and so on. So a developer who wish to miniaturize a mobile web, a web application would not be able to take account in or having advantage of phone of having a camera, GPS sensor, and connectivity. So can you think what camera, GPS sensor, and remote connectivity can do for an AirAsia application? So for the camera, you can use it to scan QR code. And then you can also use or perform remote check-in via QR code with remote connectivity. And then the GPS and LBS or location-based service can detect the nearest airport and provide suggestion or map to take the shortest route to the airport. And then the user can easily swipe the information to web interface if the application is properly mobilized. So this is example of mobilizing the application. You can scan the QR code or barcode automatically using your barcode scanner. If your phone has barcode scanner, okay, this is a Android application if you look carefully. Or you can use it the camera, okay, inside your mobile application to scan the barcode QR code. Alright, okay, this is also an example of mobilization. So if you use GPS, the GPS can automatically detect your nearest airport. So this might be auto-selected, okay, from can be auto-selected. You do not have to select the from manually. Okay, you only have to select your destination, but not your originating location or your origin airport, because the origin airport would be pre-selected using the GPS. Okay, how to spot miniaturization? So miniaturization is bad when designing mobile application, but how to spot them? So one of the key point of spotting miniaturization is to avoid excessive text field. So mobile user does not have the time to fill every detail in the text field. So if you look inside your mobile device application, so you will realize there are almost no application in your mobile application that relies on the text field. Almost none. So hampir tiada application dalam mobile device kamu yang guna text field. So this is a fact. So try to avoid having excessive text field by relying on social login, such as obtaining the user information from Google Plus or Facebook logins. So this is in accordance to the sociability principle that are listed inside mobile user characteristic. So if you go back to the mobile user characteristic, you will learn that mobile user characteristic has sociability. So this is the element of sociability. That is, it will avoid having a text field. So have the application save or caches the user data so that the user won't have to refill the text field over and over and over again. And excessive text field input discourage user from using mobile application. So try to simulate yourself having to type your own name on the text field of the mobile device. So you will imagine that the user would always type their name incorrectly inside the text field. So sometimes the capitalization, okay, huruf dia kecil besar dan semuanya ada yang silap dan sebagainya lah. So that's why you need to avoid excessive text field. So the question is that, can you find any application inside your mobile device that contain more than text field at one time? So try to check inside your mobile application. So you will find it that most of your mobile application do not contain text field at all. Kalau ada pun, dia tak lebih daripada 3 text field. Right? Not more than 3 text field. Even your mobile application do not have login screen. Okay. Login screen kan ada text field. Even that your own mobile application do not have login screen. Right? User are supposed to fill their names, user ID, and identity card number and email at the same time on the mobile device. Because the user simply need to fill in their user ID or password and all the other particulars such as name, their ID, their coursework, their campus, their colleges, and other particulars should be retrieved from a server. Maknanya isi je student ID dan juga password for identification, and all of their other particulars such as name, their course ID, program code, fee status, okay, their examination result should be retrieved from a server without the user having to fill in their particulars over and over and over again. This is a tip to avoid miniaturization. So this would minimize the number of data that user must key in manually using the text field. So a developer can also avoid having a text field by presenting the information in a manner which is easily accessible and selectable by the mobile phone user. Okay, think of answering the examination question in objective format or true false rather in the subjective or essay. Okay, cuba buat satu soalan dalam mobile device dalam bentuk true false or objective so that the user can pre-select their answer. Alright, a quick break. Okay, take your time and look at this screen. Because this screen represents an input which the user must make in order to reserve a flight ticket. Okay, the question is, how many text fields are present in this screen? So, please count. How many text fields that are present inside this screen? Okay, the answer is 0. Okay, none. Tak ada pun text field dalam screen ni. But they can reserve a flight ticket without any text field that are present. So, the best developer or the best student that learn from this lecture is the one student that can design an application without having a text field. Because if you look in the real life mobile device application, mobile application do not have text field at all. Okay, this is another tips to avoid miniaturization. You can also use mobile device facility or sensor to guess the user detail. Likely, certain input can be inferred from mobile applications such as country and state, which can be automatically detected from GPS. Okay, macam kamu duduk daripada Kedah ataupun Perlis ataupun duduk di Selangor. Okay, semua ni kita boleh detect daripada GPS. GPS kan autofill state field to Selangor or Kedah or Perlis. Okay, or you stay in Kelantan and so on. And then the country can be autofill to Malaysia. Okay, language can be detected from phone settings, and then email address can be detected through social login such as from Facebook login, Google Plus or iCloud login. The user is not supposed to key in every detail in the mobile application. This is very important. And then you should also display hint in the text field such as date of birth. Or you use the calendar facility. And then if you can, split long entry form into multiple screen. The user attention span would be better with multiple screen than rather scrolling down. Okay, this is also you have to remember from mobile user characteristic, whereas the user are always distracted and have short attention span. So splitting the long entry form into multiple screen would help the user concentrate more in filling your form in the mobile devices. So that's why when you are using the mobile devices, especially in the first time, your application would encourage you to slide. Okay, it will give you a short tutorial on how to use the mobile application, and you have to slide left. Okay, slide left, and so on. Just like this screen. Okay, this is a good example of splitting the user entry over multiple screen in order to help the user to fill in their form. Okay, the user only need to click next or to swipe each time they need to key in data. And then if you look here, the mobile application uses the Fitts law principle, where the input are aligned at the right side, okay, or at the edge of the screen. Okay, and then there are no text field at all inside this mobile application. So tak ada langsung text field, zero text field. So if you are designing a mobile application, try to design it with zero text field. Right, and then we have miniaturized application that will have the tendency of having too many forms and too many input fields. And then mobilized application can auto-detect the user detail from previously recorded information. See identifiable characteristic in the topic 2. They boleh detect user location from social login, okay, or previously recorded information. And then username, full name, profile photos can be obtained automatically from device profile on a mobilized application. And then the mobile application can also detect user current location and can scan the user calendar to fill in the information. So in the summary, do not miniaturize but mobilize instead. Please take advantage of the mobile platform features and ensure that miniaturization will annoy mobile user and make mobile application less useful. So that's all for this lecture. So actually we have more lectures inside, but I try to keep this brief for the video lecture so that you can keep your attention span focused for the content for the test, okay, upcoming test. So be seeing you back in the next video.